Carl Jung once said, "Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people." Most people think reading others is about observing micro-expressions, decoding their words, or analyzing their gestures. But Jung believed true psychological reading begins within you, because what you notice in someone else is shaped by what you deny, suppress, and fear in yourself. In this video, we will uncover 15 psychological truths from Carl Jung that will transform the way you see people forever. From their hidden motives to their unconscious fears, their self-sabotage patterns to their silent desires. These truths are not just hacks. They are insights into the architecture of the human mind. Once you understand them, you will begin to see others with a clarity that is almost unsettling. Here's the first truth. Truth 1. Projection reveals the shadow. People tell you about themselves all the time, not directly, but through their judgments. Whenever someone speaks with intensity, calling others selfish, fake, manipulative, arrogant, they are unknowingly revealing their own shadow. Jung called this projection. The parts of ourselves we can't accept, we see in others. When someone is deeply offended by arrogance, it often means they secretly fear their own arrogance, or are repressing their confidence to remain accepted. When someone attacks others for being selfish, it may be their own repressed selfishness, a desire to finally take up space. So how do you read this? When a person criticizes others intensely, ask yourself, what are they afraid of within themselves? What is unacceptable in their world? What does this judgment reveal about their upbringing or wounds? People reveal their shadow in what they can't tolerate in others. Truth 2. Watch their reactions to silence. Words can be learned, but comfort with silence cannot be faked. Jung believed a person's comfort with silence reveals their inner self-security. Those who rush to fill silence with talk are often uncomfortable with their own thoughts. Those who become anxious in quiet often fear what might arise from within. Those who remain calm in silence hold power, because they are not dependent on external noise to regulate themselves. Next time you are with someone, pause and say nothing. Observe. Does their energy remain grounded? Do they laugh nervously? Do they fidget, grab their phone, change the topic? In that small, silent moment, you see their mind's landscape. Truth 3. How they handle weakness. Jung taught that how a person treats the vulnerable reveals their true character. If someone dismisses, mocks, or avoids weakness in others, it often means they despise or fear weakness within themselves. Because they cannot tolerate their own imperfections, they cannot hold space for someone else's. On the other hand, if a person can remain present with someone's pain, hold their tears without discomfort, and not rush to fix or judge, it shows they have embraced their own humanness. They are safe to reveal your wounds to. Truth 4. Their favorite stories. Jung believed that humans reveal their unconscious patterns through the stories they admire. If someone is obsessed with revenge movies, they may have repressed anger or betrayal wounds. If they adore tragic love stories, they might carry unresolved grief or long for love they never received. If they love stories of heroic sacrifice, they might be over-identified with being the savior in their own life. Next time you hear someone passionately explain a movie, a book, or a myth they love, ask, who are they in that story? What emotion does it give them permission to feel? In their favorite stories, you will see their hidden desires, regrets, and beliefs about life. Truth number 5. Observe their laughter. Jung noted that laughter is not always about joy. Often, it is camouflage. People laugh to diffuse discomfort, mask anxiety, avoid depth, hide vulnerability. Observe if their laughter is full-bodied and relaxed, or sharp, forced, and misaligned with their eyes. When someone laughs after speaking about their pain, it often signals minimization of their wounds. When someone laughs while mocking others, it often reveals suppressed cruelty or insecurity. Truth 6. Their dreams reveal their unconscious struggles. Jung dedicated his life to analyzing dreams, believing they are messages from the unconscious mind. If someone shares their dreams, listen without analyzing them logically. For example, falling dreams often reflect loss of control or fear of failure. Being chased indicates avoidance of an emotion or responsibility. Teeth falling out reflects insecurity about appearance, aging, or powerlessness. But Jung taught that meaning is personal. Ask them, what did you feel in the dream? What does this symbol mean to you? In their interpretation lies their unconscious truth. Truth 7. How they react to compliments. People who reject compliments often struggle with self-worth. They may brush off kindness with jokes or awkward laughter because praise feels unsafe or unearned. Those who crave compliments constantly may carry deep self-doubt and need external validation to feel secure. And those who receive compliments with grace, neither inflating nor deflecting, are grounded in their worth. Compliments reveal whether love feels threatening, necessary, or safe to their inner world. Truth 8. What they fear in others. Jung believed what we fear in others often reflects what we repress in ourselves. If someone fears manipulation, they may suppress their own manipulative tendencies. If they fear aggression, they may have repressed anger. If they fear intimacy, they may deeply crave it, but feel unworthy. Ask yourself, what does their fear say about them? Is it a projection, a warning, or an unhealed wound? Fears are windows into their unconscious. Truth 9. How they react to other people's success. When someone close to them succeeds, do they celebrate genuinely or become distant, passive-aggressive, or silent? Jung taught that envy reveals parts of us we have disowned. If someone resents others' achievements, it often shows suppressed potential, unacknowledged jealousy, belief that life is unfair. Those who celebrate effortlessly are secure in their worth, and know another's success doesn't diminish theirs. Truth. 10. The words they repeat. Language is a reflection of thought patterns. Observe the phrases they use often. I don't know. Chronic self-doubt. I guess. Fear of being wrong. Whatever. Emotional shutdown or avoidance. I'm sorry. Used excessively. Deep guilt or desire to avoid conflict. Jung taught that words shape and reveal the unconscious scripts people live by. Listen deeply to their vocabulary. It is their belief system, spoken out loud. Closing. Part 2. Reading people is not about power or manipulation. It is about understanding their pain, their desires, their hidden fears, and their dreams. In the next part, we will reveal truths 11 to 15, including how to spot unhealed childhood wounds, why their triggers reveal their deepest pain, the ultimate Jungian truth to read anyone's soul. Truth 11. Their triggers reveal their deepest pain. Jung taught that what triggers a person reveals what they haven't healed. If someone is triggered by rejection, they carry abandonment wounds. If they're triggered by criticism, they carry shame wounds. If they're triggered by authority, they may carry childhood oppression wounds. People show you their scars by what makes them overreact. When you see someone explode over something small, ask, what does this reaction protect them from feeling? Which old memory does this mirror? Triggers are emotional time machines, transporting them back to the first wound. Truth 12. How they treat their inner child. Most people never meet their inner child, but their behavior shows how they treat it. People who ignore their needs, overwork, or tolerate neglect from others usually neglect their own inner child. Those who overindulge in pleasure or avoid responsibility often keep their inner child trapped, never maturing. Those who respect their feelings, boundaries, and dreams treat their inner child with love, becoming whole, not just grown. Truth 13. Their relationship with loneliness. Jung said, loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. If someone is always surrounded by people, yet feels lonely, they are disconnected from their true self. If they isolate and fear connection, they carry social wounds or rejection trauma. If they are alone but not lonely, they are integrated, rooted in themselves. Observe. Do they fear silence? Do they crave company as a distraction? Or do they enjoy solitude with presence? Their relationship with loneliness reveals their relationship with themselves. Truth 14. How they handle failure. People who blame others for their failures fear responsibility. Those who blame themselves for everything carry shame. Those who analyze failure, learn, and move forward carry grounded self-worth. Jung believed the way we handle failure reveals our deepest beliefs about worthiness and power. Do they crumble, attack, run, or rise? Their reaction shows their internal narrative about identity and capability. Truth 15. Their shadow integration. Level. The final truth Jung taught is the ultimate lens. A person who has integrated their shadow is untriggered by others' darkness. They don't gossip about others' flaws. They don't shame people for their disers, wounds, or mistakes. They don't feel the need to prove superiority. Why? Because they have met their own darkness. They no longer need to project it. They are whole. When you meet someone calm in chaos, compassionate to pain, unapologetic in truth, you are seeing a person who has integrated their shadow. That is the final reading. Knowing these 15 truths is powerful, but applying them without turning into a silent judge, that's wisdom. Carl Jung believed, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This doesn't just apply to your life, it applies to how you see others, too. Using these truths in relationships. When you notice projection, triggers, or shadow patterns in someone, pause before reacting with anger or defensiveness. Ask yourself, what pain is behind this? Recognize that their behavior is not always about you. Stay rooted in your truth without becoming superior. For example, when someone attacks your boundaries, instead of feeling guilt or rage, see it as their discomfort with limits, not a reflection of your worth. Using these truths in friendships. Observe. Do they celebrate your wins? Can they hold space for your pain? Are their compliments genuine or backhanded? How do they react to silence with you? Friendships built on unhealed trauma bonds will feel intense but unstable. Friendships built on integrated shadows will feel calm, honest, and free. Using these truths with family. Family is often where projection, shadow triggers, and emotional wounds show up the most. Next time a parent dismisses your feelings, ask, what feelings did they have to suppress as a child? Next time a sibling mocks your dreams, ask, what dreams did they abandon in themselves? This reframes your pain into understanding, not to excuse them, but to free yourself from the cycle. Using these truths in self-reflection. These truths are not just for reading others. They are mirrors for yourself. What triggers you in others? Which compliments make you uncomfortable? What stories do you love and why? How do you handle failure, silence, and loneliness? Reading others is easy. Reading yourself takes courage. Why Jung Said compassion is the final truth. Once you see everyone's shadows, desires, and hidden wounds, judgment fades, compassion rises. Because you realize we are all just trying to feel safe. We are all carrying unmet needs. We are all projecting what we can't accept within. Compassion doesn't mean tolerating harm. It means seeing clearly without losing your humanity. You've now learned how to read people's shadows, wounds, projections, fears, and silent desires. But there is a danger Jung warned about. A danger that hides within the very skill you are developing. Because the more you learn to read others, the easier it becomes to avoid reading yourself. Let's pause here. Why do you want to read others? Is it curiosity? A desire to understand human nature? Or is it an unconscious attempt to feel safe in a world where people feel unpredictable, where relationships feel risky, where love has always felt like walking on glass? Jung believed that knowledge can become a shield. When we study psychology only to analyze others, we risk becoming disconnected from the very compassion that makes us human. Imagine this. You walk into a room. You see everyone's projections, shadows, fears, and patterns. You know who's insecure, who's avoiding themselves, who's stuck in trauma loops. But if you do not combine that knowledge with humility, you become what Jung called inflated with knowledge, but empty of wisdom. Because wisdom is not knowing people's wounds. It is knowing how to hold them without becoming superior, judgmental, or detached. The shadow of the observer. Jung taught that every strength has a shadow. The shadow of observation is judgment. The shadow of insight is arrogance. The shadow of clarity is emotional distance. You might begin to see yourself as above those who don't know what you know. You might begin to withdraw emotionally, preferring to analyze rather than connect. You might use psychological truths to label people, to dismiss them, or to explain away their humanity. But reading people is not about becoming godlike. It is about becoming deeply, painfully human. Reading without compassion becomes manipulation. Without compassion, your ability to read people turns into a tool of power rather than understanding. You begin to see their triggers as weaknesses to exploit rather than wounds to hold gently. You begin to use psychological truths to get what you want, to push people's buttons, to make yourself feel superior. This is why Jung taught shadow integration first. Because when you know your own darkness, you do not weaponize others' darkness. Why do you want to read people? Let's ask a deeper question. Why do you want to read others instantly? Is it so you can protect yourself from betrayal? So you can avoid rejection? So you can stay one step ahead and never feel vulnerable again? Most people who want to read others deeply carry a fear of being read themselves. They fear being exposed, misunderstood, rejected, or left behind. Reading becomes a defense mechanism against intimacy, because as long as you are observing, you do not have to be seen. The cost of over-analysis. Over-analysis kills connection. When you see someone laugh and think they're masking pain, when you hear someone share success and think they're hiding insecurity, when you watch someone get angry and think that's their childhood wound, you are not listening. You are diagnosing. People feel this. They feel when they are being observed. rather than received. And it makes them withdraw, because no one wants to be a case study. They want to be seen as a full human, not a set of psychological patterns. Turn the lens back to yourself. Jung believed that everything we notice in others is a reflection of something within us. So ask yourself, why do I need to read this person? What would happen if I just listened instead? What emotion am I avoiding by analyzing them? What part of myself feels threatened by their behavior? For example, if someone's confidence triggers you to read them as arrogant, is it because you fear embracing your own confidence? If someone's vulnerability makes you analyze their trauma, is it because you struggle to hold space for your own pain? If someone's emotional outburst makes you diagnose their wounds, is it because you fear your own anger and grief? Reading yourself is harder. It is easy to read others. It is profoundly difficult to read yourself, because reading yourself means seeing your shadows without justifying them, owning your projections without blaming others, embracing your wounds without glorifying them, accepting your desires without shame. This is why Jung believed shadow integration is the foundation of all psychological work. Until you integrate your own shadow, your reading of others will always be tinted with projection, judgment, and emotional avoidance. The humility of not knowing. One of Jung's most powerful teachings was humility in the face of the unconscious. No matter how much you know, the human psyche is infinitely vast, layered, and mysterious. You will never fully know another person. You will never fully know yourself. And that's okay, because true wisdom is not about knowing everything. It is about holding space for the mystery with compassion and presence. You've now learned how to read anyone through Jung's psychological truths. But the deepest question remains: how do you read others without losing yourself? Because once you start seeing their wounds, shadows, projections, and hidden fears, you might feel empathy for everyone, but begin abandoning your own boundaries. Jung's ultimate teaching: balance. Carl Jung taught that true individuation, becoming whole, is not about merging with others. It is about remaining rooted in yourself while seeing others clearly. Here's how to apply that. 1. Read without saving. When you see someone's wound, don't rush to heal it for them. Their healing is their journey. Your clarity is your responsibility. 2. Read without judging. It's easy to start diagnosing people. She's projecting her insecurities. He has shadow wounds. They're trauma bonded. But remember, these truths are for understanding, not superiority. Judgment blocks compassion. Compassion builds wisdom. 3. Read yourself. First, Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Before concluding what someone else is showing, ask, why am I noticing this? What does this awaken in me? Reading yourself is the highest mastery. 4. Protect your energy. Seeing people's pain can feel heavy, but it's not your burden to carry. Protect your peace. by staying grounded in your truth, holding boundaries even when you understand their pain, choosing people who want to grow, not stay in the shadow. 5. Remember, everyone has a shadow, even those who appear healed, even you, even me. Jung believed that integrating your shadow makes you whole, not perfect. You will still have flaws. You will still get triggered. But awareness creates space, and space creates choice. Living with this knowledge. Imagine walking into a room and seeing who is projecting, who is craving approval, who is hiding pain behind laughter, who is triggered and why, who is living from their shadow or from their wholeness. It feels powerful, but use this power to build wisdom, compassion, and boundaries, not ego, manipulation, or judgment. Because true reading is seeing with clarity, feeling with empathy, and acting with integrity. Carl Jung spent his life exploring the unconscious mind to help humanity awaken. Reading others is not a game. It is a responsibility. Because the more deeply you see them, the more deeply you are called to see yourself. Final comment. Prompt. I choose clarity over judgment. Subscribe to Psychatic for more Jungian truths, shadow work, and psychological mastery. Leave a super. Thanks if this series helped awaken your perception. Share this with someone who wants to read beyond the surface.